Hey guys, Ash here, coming at you today with another expert interview in Clash Royale. I'm going to have Manu on, and he is an amazing, amazing player. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him in. Alright guys, I am here with Manu. Manu is definitely one of the best players I know in Clash Royale, and it's a pleasure for you to finally be on the channel, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to be here.
You're definitely a wealth of knowledge. So many times people ask you in our clan chat or whatever for little tips or what deck you're using, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the channel, but for my money, I would put you against any clasher in the same level cards, and I think you would win more often than not. Obviously, you have your losses like anybody else, but you're a really, really skilled player, so really awesome to have you on. So I invited you on today to basically share 2 replays with your favorite deck, which is a miner deck.
Of course.
You can kind of walk us through them and give us some strategy advice as we watch the replays. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, I guess before we get started, we're looking at your deck right now, and it has like the Princess, the Miner, the Mini P.E.K.K.A, Cannon, Elixir Collector, Minion Horde, Zap, and the Spear Goblin. Now, have you tried, I'm sure you've tried different experimentations with other cards. This is your favorite combo here that we're looking at right now?
Yeah, I've been using this pretty much since like Miner came out, and I've done different things with it, but I've always just come back to this because I found that it's got like a good balance within it, and it's also a really fast cycle. So like it thrives in the double elixir too. Like I'm all right with during some games, I'm all right with like taking a little bit of like extra tower damage. I'm like, all right, so I lost like 1,000 or 2,000 damage here. But like I'm okay with it because I know as long as I play like strong defense the rest of the game, make smart decisions, I can easily just find an opportunity to just make a really strong push and just take over.
Okay, nice. So why don't we just go ahead and get right into some replays, and then I'll ask you, because I have a bunch of questions for you about the deck, but then, you know, it'd be fun if we were actually watching the replays. So let's go ahead and do replay 1. Whenever you're ready, I'll go ahead and start it out.
All right, yeah. So do you want me to just hit it too?
Yeah, just hit it right now.
All right.
All right, so why don't you start off, since it's the beginning of the match, about telling us like how you start out the gameplay and the strategy in the very beginning. Like, what's your perfect hand, and how do you adjust based on what they play?
All right, so my perfect hand would be basically like, hold on, do you want me to pause it or just keep going?
Keep talking.
All right, so like I like having a Princess, an Elixir Pump, Cannon sometimes would be nice because sometimes when people are playing Hog deck, they'll rush you right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Like we just saw.
Yeah, and then maybe like a flexible card like Spear Goblins.
If you have the Elixir Collector in your deck to start out with, are you always playing that first if they don't play anything right off the bat?
Yeah, I'll wait till it's 10 Elixir, wait for that 1 tick across the screen, and then I'll drop it down, and make sure you're dropping it in between the towers, because right off the bat, until you know whether or not the person has a miner in their deck or not, it's better to just play it safe and place it between the towers. Okay,
great advice there, yeah. So now that you know he has a Hog Rider deck, your opponent, Nemo's here, what is your philosophy as far as defense and offense at this point?
Definitely when you're playing a Hog deck, you want to make sure that you have spare Elixir. You're not always like throwing everything all in at once.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if they make a counter push with their Hog, you have something to defend it with. And it'd be nice to always try and have your cannon ready, because I mean that's not always the case, because sometimes people have decks where they have like multiple aggressive units, so you can't just save the cannon for the Hog, but at least have like either your cannon or your mini P.E.K.K.A ready to respond to the Hog Rider.
Yeah, it's tough against these cycle decks, especially with the freeze and the zap. It's tough. You always have to be ready for something, you know. It's tough. So offensively, what's your mindset now? Like, obviously you haven't really used much of the miner at this point. What is your philosophy with using the miner card? When's it best to use him?
Well, basically, I'm sort of, in the beginning of the game, feeling out the opponent's deck. I try to see what all their cards are, just to know, like, especially spells. When you're playing with this miner deck, you really want to focus on what spells the enemy has, because that's crucial to getting your minion horde in and making a play with that on the tower. So, like, I know at this point, basically when you see a Hog deck, first of all, you can sort of assume that they're running Zap, and then you can, after you play around, you'll see whether or not they have another spell, but usually it's just like a Zap spell with a Hog deck like this.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, basically what you want to do is try to like get the opponent to use that Zap spell, and then at that moment, take advantage of it by having your Miner and Minion Horde ready. Like, you want to try and have them on deck, so as soon as that spell is dropped, you know you can take advantage of the opponent not having it and then counter push right away.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So your win condition with this deck, more often than not, is that miner minion horde combo.
Yeah, and then sometimes the mini P.E.K.K.A. if you can get it in if you can time it at the right time.
Yeah, and the mini P.E.K.K.A, you really need that in there too, especially with all these Royal Giant decks going around, right? I mean, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, the mini P.E.K.K.A. is also good because this deck has a lot of splash in it, so you need a unit that's not a splash, like a small low HP unit that won't be taken out by like Princess Shots or Wizard.
Yeah, and you just pulled off the win too, so very nice. We saw the minion horde miner combo in action there, so nice win there, dude.
Yeah, pretty much like, especially towards the end of the game, you basically, like, everything starts getting real hectic, and the opponent will start to not, like, there's multiple stuff going on the screen, so they're gonna not really pay much attention to whether they use a zap spell to try to get their hog in an extra hit. So you can really take advantage of that by just waiting for them to misuse that spell in one spot, and then all of a sudden send in the miner, send in the minion horde, back it up. Don't send the spear goblins right underneath, because I found that if you're sending spear goblins right underneath the minion horde and like they send in any splash unit, it's like a 2-for-1.
Yeah. You can lose a lot of elixir there on that trade.
Yeah, and then also you can sneak in the mini P.E.K.K.A. because that also gives them something else that's more challenging to work with.
Yeah, that's really difficult. If you catch them unaware or low on elixir after a push, and you have the miner, the minion horde, and you can get the mini P.E.K.K.A. in there, that's pretty tough to combat. You know?
Yeah, because it requires different methods of handling it, and when they're all there at once, it's like anything you drop really gets destroyed.
Yeah. Even if they had a cannon ready, it doesn't matter with a minion horde, and it's really good. So let's go ahead and get into the second replay here whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll go in right now.
All right, cool.
So this guy is actually running the same deck as me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
At the time I didn't know. So I have a pretty good starting hand right here. So I have the elixir pump. So in the beginning, I actually drop it in the back just to like defer things up a little bit, I guess, was my thinking. That was kind of a mistake, but
that's all right. Yeah, so because he played one right where you usually like to play one.
At least place it close to the king tower, because I found that sometimes I try to bait the miner to hit the king. So because sometimes they have a poor miner placement right there, it'll hit the king tower.
That's a good point. So you just use your miner right off the bat there.
Yeah, I took out his princess. That's always a good thing to try and do. If there's nothing else on the board, and you can send the miner right on top of the princess, there's really no way they can stop it, because even if they drop in units right after, the miner's already on the princess, and it only takes 2 hits.
Okay, so he just sent a miner after your elixir pump. So why don't you just give us some basics about the miner card? So what are good trades besides, let's pretend there's nothing on the map. Besides the elixir collector and the princess, is there anything else you'll send your miner at? Alone.
Okay. So, I use it more like defensively. Okay. I use it. It's sort of like a pop-up knight in a way. You know, like a knight is a sort of low HP tank, and it can be used to distract units to try and lure them to the center. Or especially, this is another use I use it for. If there's like a wizard coming onto me, or some like a Valkyrie, I'll use the miner to like lure it to the center of my my 2 crown towers.
Oh, okay.
I use it as like a sort of tank in a way.
Okay, so you use it a lot defensively as a knight. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then also something else I want to point out about the miner. One mistake that I see a lot of people make is rushing it, and that's something you definitely don't want to do with this deck. Like, you want to have your push ready. You never, first of all, want to send like a solo miner to a crown tower, because it's just not. There's no value in that. They'll counter you, and that unit that's countering the miner is going to still be alive, of course, because it's not going to take any damage. So
wow, that miner was great placement timing there. You got the as soon as I didn't get the princess down, but it was very close.
Almost.
Yeah. Okay, so being a little bit too aggressive with the miner is a mistake you see some people making.
Yes.
Any other like common mistakes on the miner, or?
Definitely you don't want to like Hold on, let me think. You want to always back it, like, it's very useful to back it up with something. So, like, spear goblins are an awesome thing to do. Like, sending the miner plus spear goblins is an awesome little push you can make, because it really makes the opponent have to sort of think, because they have to, unless they've got, like, a zap to take out your spear goblins, which is an even trade, you're not losing on that.
Yeah.
They sometimes mess up, and they'll send, like, a unit, at the front of the first of all, they don't know what part of the crown tower it's going to, so they'll send like a unit in the front. That unit has to spend some travel time to walk to the back. Meanwhile, the spear goblins are like they're taking no damage whatsoever, and they really can add up. Like if you can get like a perfect little minor mini tank plus the spear goblins behind, they can do like around 500 to 1,000 chip damage.
Yeah,
also that low cost of like 5 elixir.
Yeah, 5 elixir. That's the thing. Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely I've been there defensively before and offensively, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I've seen that miner coming towards me, and I've been like, you know, I'll have like barbarians or in like goblins, and I'll be like, well, where do I put each one? You know, where is he going with this? So yeah, I can totally relate to that. So it's definitely a good tip.
Yeah, and also with when you're using a princess and you're versing a miner deck, it's very good to be sort of ready for if you really want to defend your princess. If you have like a unit like a mini P.E.K.K.A, for example, that you can have on your deck after the moment you drop your princess, because sometimes when your opponent has the miner, you'll put your princess down, they'll send the miner over, and if you can get another unit down to distract the miner, it is a very negative elixir trade for their part, because they just wasted 3 elixir to try and get to your princess, and they never even touched it.
That's a great point,
and now you have your princess still alive because they still have to react to it.
That's a great point too. Yeah, I mean, the miner does present all sorts of opportunity for those positive elixir trades like that. So I think it takes a little bit of learning to get used to it, but when you do, similar to you can really have a lot of success with the card. I guess any other. Well, I guess last question for you, if you don't mind, Manu, is what deck do you struggle most against a miner deck? Like, let's pretend you're in a tournament and you have to go against a miner deck. What deck would you choose if you couldn't choose another miner deck?
Okay, I would say decks that have been working for me against miner deck, the trifecta deck. That's pretty popular. That works really well if you can get it down. Any deck really where there's it's not like slow. Like I found that the meta right now has shifted back towards like fast decks. Like you can't really have like a slow deck that requires a lot of elixir unless you play it really well. Because right now, like if you have a miner come to your tower, you have to respond instantly, and you can't just be sitting on these high elixir cards and waiting to drop them.
Yeah, for sure. So you would go
quicker decks, like Hog Cycle decks. As sad as it is to say, recommending the Hog, I have to recommend it because it's something that you just gotta do right now to combat the meta. And also, I guess making sure your elixir cost is lower than like 4 right now, unless you've got like some deck strategy that really relies on dropping heavy troops backed up by other heavy troops, and that's your win condition.
Yeah, great advice for sure. And yeah, you saw, a lot of golem type decks for a while, and then it seems to be they're a little bit less popular. And as you said, it seems people are moving more towards like cycle decks and faster and cheaper decks, but you still see them from here and there. So I find that you're right. You kind of have to be like a really skilled player with those decks, especially against a miner deck, to have success.
Yeah, the problem with those golem decks I found is that everybody right now is rocking mini P.E.K.K.A, and mini P.E.K.K.A is such a threat to those golems when you first send it down and you don't have many troops to back it up, or somebody sends down a push on the other lane. You have to counter that, and then they send down a mini P.E.K.K.A on your golem, and you're stuck with nothing else to do, and that mini P.E.K.K.A is just going to rip through it, and that's right there, -4 elixir.
Yeah, it's tough, very tough. Like, you work so hard to get that golem on the board, and then you can be easily taken down. So definitely a lot of good advice there, man. I really appreciate you coming on. We're probably going to wrap things up, but I feel like I could talk to you forever. So people should let us know if you're up for it. Maybe come on again, especially when you find a new deck that you really enjoy and are having a lot of success with. What is your highest cups? I didn't even look, but you've been pretty high.
It's alright. It's just last season I made it to 42-18. I just like try to push myself another 100 cups each season, like that's just been my steady goal.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to do hard, like with my limitations as a level 11, it's like all right. Like I could. Plus, I don't really have a lot of time right now. I've got finals, but after finals, man, get ready. I'm gonna have some new decks for you.
All right, man. Well, I can't wait, dude. Like I said, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I really appreciate you coming on. I probably, between Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, it's probably been like close to 2 years that I've known you, but you've never been on the channel before, so it's really cool to have you on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's cool to be on. I love your content.
Thanks, dude. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Take it easy. All right.